Got another car.
We do.
So I remember when I bought this car, it was in awful shape. I mean, it wasn't quite bits and pieces like the Amelia Earhart car,
Sure.
but it was still, it needed a restoration.
Absolutely.
It needed a facelift, and you guys work your magic, and all of a sudden there's a masterpiece.
It's a 1938 Packard 12 Coupe Roadster.
Which took Best in Class at Pebble Beach once.
It did. This thing has won basically everywhere it's gone. It's been an incredible car, and you don't, this being a 38, it was the penultimate year for Packard 12s. They only built 566 between 37 and 38, and then 38 it kind of tapered off a little bit, and 39 was the last year. So it really was right towards the end of it. There was just low Packard 12 production period at that point in time. They were really running down to the end of the Packard 12 lineup. And in my opinion, I've never been a huge fan of the 39 grille. Sorry for 39 purists out there. This is the last, for me, really beautiful design before they changed that grille. It's a stunning car. It's large in its proportions. It's clearly taken on that aerodynamic look.
When you look at the inside, it's almost an Art Deco type on the door handles, the steering wheel, the front dashboard.
Yes, correct. The dashboard on these in particular was extremely Art Deco, and one of the things that I love on the interior of this car is the inclusion of ivory, or it was plastic. It was actually a cellulose-based plastic with a formaldehyde binder, which is why if you ever get in one of these old cars, if they have plastic, they smell like a funeral home. It's because they use formaldehyde as a binding agent with that. But I love the ivory steering wheel, and I love how that matches the white, not ivory, crank knobs, which were original to it. And it's a ton of Art Deco styling on this. And it's, for a big car, it's really, this paint scheme and the way that the design work was done, it keeps it visually small as much as you can. I mean, this is a big, big car. But the styling on it's really beautiful.
I understand that they made 16 of these and there's maybe 8 left, and I don't know how many are in this color combination.
This Colombian beige is a very rare color, period.
Well, originally when we talked about the color on this car, we originally were focused on, I think, a burgundy.
Yep.
And then we realized what month the car was made.
Yep.
And that particular month, burgundy wasn't available.
Well, it was in that kind of early introductory phase, but then we found the color on this car and we said, whoa, let's back up here and let's take a look at this. And that's when we talked with people like Don Sears and the kind of the gatekeepers of a lot of the early history on these cars, and came to the conclusion that that was Colombian beige that we found on it, and that jives with the early production dates, and again, that kind of introductory color concept. So 37 and 38 Packard. 37 in particular was the first year that Packard brought independent front suspension and hydraulic brakes to the car. They had done independent front suspension on their junior series prior to that, I believe starting in 35. Yes, it was starting in 35. And it took 2 years to bring that to the senior lineup with the 37 model. The cool thing about the 38 is its second year of independent front suspension, larger 16-inch brakes on it, I should say. Again, hydraulic, and it was if you ask a lot of Packard purists, the 37, 8, and 9 range are the best driving Packards. And you started to see this basically innovation that was being incorporated into these bigger cars. Sadly enough, as we talked about, production of the 12 ended in 39. But again, it's really neat, especially in your collection, as you see the evolution of Packard in particular, considering you have, I think, 1913 is your earliest. You've got 20s, you've got the Light 8, you've got the reintroduction of the Packard Twin 6, and then we go into the 12, you see the evolution from 33 to 34, and then obviously the whole design styling language that happened in 35 going up into this 38. So it's a really special car because it incorporates all of these iterative design processes and engineering processes that all show up in this car. And this is, I think, one of the best driving cars in your collection, truly. This is really cool. We talked about how the design language changed in 35. I really love what Packard did with that styling change. When you went to 35, you got the rake back grille, especially in 37. The grills lean back, the bullet headlights, the pontoon fenders, which you can flip them over and turn them into a canoe. They're huge. The way that the side mount spares are integrated into it, again, it's getting into that actual aerodynamic-esque styling. You're starting to move away from some of the more singular parts that are kind of placed together into more integrated components. The way that the splash aprons up front integrate into the fenders, how that integrates into the mount for your headlights, the hood, it's all much more aerodynamic looking and more of that, I would say kind of French-inspired, curvaceous styling.
Kind of like LeBaron body.
Exactly. But it's a stunning car for that. And again, it's considerably bigger than some of the earlier cars, especially it's just by the panels, but visually it still looks very svelte. And I love that about this car. The 3-speed transmission in this is beautiful. It runs and drives well. I mean, this is a highway speed car all day. If you start talking about having, and I know this has a high-speed gear set in it, so if you're talking about having the 407 rear end in this is a car that'll do 65, 70, 80 miles an hour and not be, top RPMs on it, which is incredible for, again, a 90-year-old car. And I love...
Get on the toll road and run with the semis.
Absolutely. And I love that about this car. The nice thing, too, with that independent front suspension is the steering on these. If you're just rolling slightly, this is a single finger to turn this. I so vividly remember my dad, we were sitting in this and going for a drive after the restoration. He said, Travis, when these things are set up right, it just takes a finger to turn this. And he just, a little bit of clutch and it steers so nicely. And it's a testament again to Packard's engineering being incorporated into the design and having beautiful styling characteristics. And I love the post 35 style. It's so Dick Tracy. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just gorgeous.
But it's not power steering. It's still manual steering.
It's still manual steering. But well balanced, good weight distribution, the right suspension. Couple that with the hydraulic brakes, which was excellent. Mechanical brakes on Packards were superb as well, but the hydraulic brakes are excellent. They're just a great car. And I love this being a coupe roadster. Obviously, it has the golf doors on it and everything else. At least this has a rumble seat, so it's not totally impractical if you want to bring people around. But this was absolutely the sports car of the lineup. This or a coupe.
It's a big sports car.
It is a big sports car, but you know what? That's all right. These cars are real, they're true, they have roots, they were done at a point in time that none of that stuff existed, and it's so incredible what just pure grit and ingenuity did in a car that's 90 years old. You're talking about guys that were working with, men and women that were working with slide rules and tapes and drafting tables and full-size renderings of cars, and the blueprints are for Packard, for any of these marks, are unbelievable. And to realize how precisely those components come together in this car to work, it's mind-boggling to me that at this point in time, that much industry and ingenuity was available, that these cars could even come to life and that they're still usable today. That's the thing that I love the most about what you're doing here, and I love the most about this job and this career, is it's getting to kind of see through the looking glass at an era and what we as humans were able to accomplish. And you get to walk in here every day, which I'm extremely jealous of, and see this living, breathing history in front of you. Well, Jack, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It's an honor and a privilege to get to restore these cars for you.
Oh, I love having you do it. It's an honor and a privilege for me to have you do it, because it just transforms the entire collection.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, until next time. If you'd like to see more information, detailed photos, and a bit of history on each of these cars in this series and more, visit the JBScollection.com. Check us out on Instagram and on Facebook.